I think Dumbledore is loved because he's the sort of person we all wish we had as a sort of inspiration, as a leader. You know, he seems immeasurably good. He seems empathetic. He seems to be able to see the good in everybody and the potential of good in everybody. I think he carries his own morals on a slight sense of guilt and self-doubt, and he does it all with mischief and a certain sort of humor, which I think makes it very attractive. Hi, I'm Jude Law, and I'm going to tell you how I became Albus Dumbledore. It was a privilege for me to play this character because of the impact he, as a character, made on so many children through the books of Harry Potter. And I was fortunate enough to ride on the coattails of two remarkable actors who play him as an older wizard, Richard Harris and Michael Gambon, of course. And so being able to go back and really mine the younger man and look at the situations, the trials and tribulations that lead and get him to the person that we all know and love in the Harry Potter series is really the bread and butter for an actor. It's the sort of stuff you really look forward to. In addition, he's a guy who he has a huge amount of power in his wizarding skills, empathy, patience, but he's also got self-doubt and demons, which this particular film you really see him coming to terms with. And those are all wonderful, complicated layers to build into a character. Being able to go back and create Dumbledore when he was younger than the character in the Potter books and Potter films really started for me, perhaps obviously, at the costume fittings and the costume discussions, because we decided very early on that he, at this point in his life, was not wearing the sort of wizard robes, the caftan and the long hair and the large hat, and was rather more professorial, studious, you could say. And there was a sort of elegance to him that Colleen Atwood, our brilliant costume designer, drew out, and yet also a comfort. And we sort of bounced those two inspirations around, and to me there was a lot of who he was in how he dressed. A sort of relish and a slight kind of dandiness, but also a comfort in, you know, walking around windy corridors of Hogwarts and teaching children in turrets. And I felt from the beginning that I was really freed by the director to not feel like I had to base him on the portrayals by Gambon or Harris, that it was very much starting from scratch. He was a guy who had a long way to go to become the wiser version that we all knew. So for me, it always felt like I had carte blanche, I suppose, and that the demons that I mentioned before were very much present. The guilt was very present, and so all of that had to be resolved. So it was important to me to rely on the sort of twinkle, the mischievous, the all-knowing quality that we all expected. But I think what was interesting was also to really get into the regrets and the guilt that motivated him as a younger man. Learning to come to terms with that, I think, is a big reason he is such a sage in the later films.
I'm sorry to disturb you, Albus, but I've just received troubling news.
Tell me, what is it?
It's Grindelwald.
The time is close, my brothers and sisters.
Our war with the muggles begins today!
So Mads and I talked a lot about the inevitable connection between Gellert and Albus forever, meaning no matter how much regret or divergence that they've made since they become adults, the connection they had, the like-mindedness or the shared ambitions of youth somehow bonded them, and eternally. And we wanted to put into place that sense of someone who you know you've moved away from, a big part of you regrets having had that friendship. Nonetheless, it is there forever. It's part of what defines you. And so we were lucky. We were given great scenes to layer them into, but it was important to us that we played a lot of the love and a lot of the friendship, but equal, because we relied on the film to explain the opposing elements. I always base the love that Dumbledore talks about on an idea of Dumbledore as a young man, as a boy really, probably feeling quite lonely. In the books, they talk about him being a star pupil, a wizard with no equal, even by the time he'd gone to Hogwarts. He was this incredibly powerful and clearly very advanced wizard, and it came naturally to him. It was kind of, I guess, like being the ultimate in a sport and not really having anyone to play opposite because you're just so much better than everyone. And then he meets Gellert, who is his equal. And, the connection, the sort of boundless potential when the two of them meet forges this incredible bond, and at a really formative age. And, I don't think, even though their paths lead them in different directions, I don't think he will or had ever met anyone like that and never will again. And so the connection is profound and very, very deeply rooted. And I think that's what he was referring to.
I trust you're enjoying your wand, Mr. Kowalski.
Can I keep this?
Well, we're very lucky on this film. The world of magic is, I always think filmmaking is the world of magic. There's as much magic in building a set that takes us back to 30s Berlin, or the streets of Bhutan, or a waterfall in the remotest parts of China, and layering in the special effects of beasts and magic wands. And really, for me, it's always about rooting the character, and an awful lot of the other very skilled technicians around you help you elevate the magic or step into the elevated world. And they make it very real. Scenes like being pushed backwards down a street and then flipping into a tram. A lot of that we were doing on wires, and that's stunt guys and special effects building rigs and building sets that actually do that. When the tram splits in half, they had a tram that split in half. So I just went there and responded.
If you listen carefully enough, the past whispers to you.
It's very much a home. It's a safe place for Albus, and so really my responsibility was to treat it as such. But seeing the children who play the wizards and witches and the pupils of Hogwarts so excited and energized on the day was a wonderful thing to behold.